All right, so happy Monday, everyone. Um, Turn my ringer off. So hope you had a good weekend. Today we have Cathy with Realtor.com on to show us some of the products they have. If you haven't checked into Realtor.com in a while, or if you've been looking for, leads or things to help build your business, maybe you have a lot of listings coming in and, different ways that that can be promoted a little bit better. They've got a lot of tools that they've been working on over the past few years, and they've obviously made some acquisitions with UpNest and OpCity over the years and kind of integrated those in with some of the products that they offer. Um, and so they have some kind of hybrid stuff now. So if you've been looking for some leads, they have definitely some affordable things now. I know if you maybe looked in the past, you're like, oh, wow, that's really expensive. But, I talked to Cathy a few weeks back, and I was actually surprised with a lot of the other products that they have now that were actually pretty affordable. So thought we would go over that. I know a lot of you are gearing up for, 2026 and things like that. Um, I believe we're kind of, in the beginning of the end of the downward trend of the market. So, things are kind of looking up for 2026. So if you're looking to add in, um, some different lead sources and things like that into your business, I thought we'd have Realtor.com come on and kind of, show us what they have these days. So, good morning, Cathy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, and good morning.
Good
Can you
morning.
guys all hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Perfect. Okay, great. So there are a number of things that are newer, so we can kind of start there. There are a couple of products that we can go over. If you guys want to drop questions in the chat, we can do that, and I will include all of my contact information for y'all as well, also in the chat. And then if you also want to send it on, Travis, that's totally fine via email.
Yep.
Um, okay, so the first product that we can start with that's new is called Listing Toolkit. And that one's been a really popular product. It has kind of come into fruition after our acquisition of UpNest. So many of you may be familiar with that. UpNest used to be a free program. Now it functions differently and a little bit more effectively. So what Listing Toolkit does is it gives you some branding and some partnership with UpNest. And to backtrack a little bit, the two-sentence kind of recap of UpNest is that people who are looking to sell will create a profile about themselves and the property. Agents do the same thing, and then it will pair them off based on similar criteria. Typically, you are looking at 2 to 5 matches per consumer. So you do still want to respond in like a timely manner when you receive the lead. But a kind of perk of being on UpNest through Listing Toolkit as opposed to the free version is that you actually receive all of the person's contact information right away. The older version, the person has to actually select you. This one allows you to kind of get the jump on it. And it does have you on there as the recommended and preferred agent. Most people aren't particularly swayed by the branding. They are more swayed by the fact that you can actually proactively reach out to them. So it's been a really popular product because it is affordable. It's pretty easy to manage and maintain. And once you have a profile up, it's kind of a set it and forget it platform. So the majority of the work is done for you because it will pull basically a pitch or a proposal from your profile and send it to the consumer automatically. So you can do any 7 cities of your choice. You do have to be qualified in our system, so there's no way to know that for any individual until we actually would look at your account. But it's $175 a month. It gives you a couple of other pretty cool features. UpNest does take 30% of closing, so just heads up on that. Part of the reason it's so affordable. And then the other cool features that factor in are they do give you a pre-screened matching buyers list for every listing that you obtain. And so that would be dependent or not dependent on whether or not it comes from us within your realtor.com dashboard, which you all probably have, whether you've seen it or not. Just exists automatically. All of the listings are underneath your profile. And then people we work with in other platforms update their leads. And so anybody they have that's cash or pre-qualified on looking in the same market would pull up as a potential connection for you to actually sell a listing. So again, doesn't matter if it's from us or not, but it just auto populates all of the agents' contact information that have people that are looking in a similar area. Most markets do give you a free version that's kind of an upgraded version of Cloud CMA that comes along with that. So most people really love that. If you do already pay for cloud from some other source, like Cloud Directly or another membership that you have, our deal with cloud is that you are able to cancel your cloud because you do receive it with this product as well. Let's see. So that's kind of the long and the short version of Listing Toolkit. Most people do really well with it. The only time I see somebody who does not is if, of course, they don't respond to the leads or they set up a really bad profile, just kind of off the jump, because it does obviously function on how good your profile is. And it'll tell you right at the top, like, hey, you're at 25%. So if your profile stinks, you're going to hate this. If you take the time to create a good profile, most people do really well. And also, of course, one of the other kind of delineating factors on how successful it is kind of how far you're willing to go. Obviously, if you want to stay within like one tiny little area, you're going to end up with less leads because it is not a volume-based product. So some of the criteria that you put out there will directly affect what you actually receive from that. So some people receive a handful, some people receive a ton every month. It just kind of depends on some of that criteria that you throw out there. But again, the pricing doesn't change. It's just the solid 175, no matter how big your net is. So being that we're starting with that one, does anyone have any questions? Or Travis, would you like to throw in anything on that one at all?
Yeah, I could throw in a little bit on that. So if you're not familiar with UpNest, they've been around for quite a while. I joined them many years ago to get listing leads, and that's pretty much all they were providing. And again, it was still pay at close. They accepted me in. Took a little while, but finally I started getting some. What they do is, yeah, when a seller comes in there, they click on an ad that they're running or whatever, and they set up their little profile, and they're able to see which agents in the area have a proposal for them for their listing. And that's kind of what Cathy is talking about is how well is your little bio and your proposal and everything set up. So if you did this product and you just did the minimum just to kind of fill out the spaces, you're probably not going to do as good as maybe as expected. So the better you complete your profile and your pitch and what you provide for your listing and all of that, the better chances you'll have of being selected as one of the agents they want to interview. I have closed sales with UpNest. It's always been a good product for me, and so I do recommend it usually a lot of times to you agents when you're asking me about listing leads and things like that, and I know you've gone out and maybe filled out your profile and things like that and haven't received anything. This is a way for you to kind of jump the line if they're kind of inundated in their area, and start getting uh, proposals out there to these homeowners. So for 175 bucks, it's pretty worth it. Plus, they give you a few bells and whistles and as well for your presentation, such as Cloud CMA. So that's what I do like about the product for 175 bucks. You get in. So if you're having a hard time getting into the area, you do get in. So
Absolutely. And to my knowledge, Cloud CMA is normally pretty close to that price as is. So if
no,
you get
I get it
anything,
free from one of the associations, so I have
do
no
you?
idea
Yeah.
actually. So
So if you're
yeah,
paying for it already, it's like, it's a wash on the price if it's something that you're already paying for. So
yeah,
if you sell a mailbox out of it, you're still in the green. Um,
yeah.
do we have any questions about that anybody wants to throw in the chat before I tell you all about some other stuff?
So 175, how many do you get and what's the percentage they take? So it's 175 a month.
Mm-hmm.
They take 30% at closing, and
Correct.
how many you get can just vary.
Yeah, the example that I always use is it's kind of like if you're on a dating site. Whatever you put on your profile has a direct correlation to what kind of lead volume and quality you get. Like I was mentioning, because it is not volume based. So it depends on what you put there as far as what kind of people you attract. but also stuff like what your coverage area is, what kind of price points you're comfortable with. All of those things can make that volume go up or down, or just totally depends on what you have in there.
Yeah, it's like you're putting your pitch in front of these homeowners. So Realtor.com is not sending you a lead necessarily. It's they're putting you in front of these homeowners and how well you did your bio and your pitch and everything, and the completeness of your profile will hopefully get you, in line or as one of as one of the realtors that the homeowner wants to interview or talk to about their listing. So
Correct.
that's how I've experienced it.
Yes, we're very um, careful to specify that because it's not volume based, the better way to think about it is that it is more of a service than it is like a specific lead volume based, which is different than how we do almost everything else. Typically, we do work on a set volume, but this has so many factors that are really up to whatever you put on your profile that it's really impossible to say. What I can tell you guys is I do work with about 300 agents. They're like in my personal book of business. Probably about 50% of them have it. And out of that 50%, probably 75% of them love it. Occasionally, I have agents that don't, and it's because of things like they never turned it on. Their profile is terrible. Their coverage area is really small. Occasionally, people make a pretty bad fumble. It asks you what your commission for the listing site is. Sometimes people misunderstand and they think it's for the whole thing. So if you
Yeah,
put in 6% and other people have 2.5 or 3%, you're probably getting nothing. It's really just up to what kind of criteria you put in there and how wide of a circle you're willing to service, really.
yeah. So, and I found over the years that the better you keep up on your profile, the better it is with people wanting to talk to you about their
Yes,
list. And there's
absolutely.
the other thing I have found is most of them are very serious. Like they list, because I've gone back on the leads that I didn't win and looked to see if they sold, and almost all of them sold pretty quickly. Like these people are usually pretty motivated. It's not like a home value lead, like they're looking to sell. It's usually very quick, within a week or even just a couple months is what I experienced, that the leads that I went back and looked through ended up listing and selling. So they are pretty motivated from what I have experienced.
Yes, that's pretty common. And additionally, one thing that's changed since we acquired UpNest is Realtor.com now has a sell tab, but we don't have our own agent. So some of the volume from UpNest is now people that are on Realtor.com that go under the sell tab. And under there, all that happens is they're basically shepherded from Realtor.com right onto UpNest.
Yeah,
So sometimes you do get people that are looking, and in the process of looking, they realize, like, oh man, I have to sell my home first. So sometimes it's a little bit wonky on the timing. Sometimes they, just like Travis said, are people that are ready to go like immediately. So it just kind of depends. And so does the volume. But again, that's one of the reasons why it's so affordable. Generally, we do 12 months on that one. You do have an option to pay it in full if you like. And there is a 6-month option as well. There is no difference on how it is run if you go with the 6-month option. The only thing that changes is that you're likely to have a price increase as the prices on this go up. No, there is not a startup cost. The monthly fee is the 175 and that's it.
perfect. Any other
Okay.
questions on this particular product on listing? This is listing toolkit for those of you just kind of coming in. So
Yes, and I can send out a recap email on all this as
yeah,
well.
so
We have
okay,
any other questions on that one?
doesn't
No.
look
Okay.
like. Okay.
That's all right. So the next one is called Local Expert. And it is more of a branding tool than anything else, but it does do a couple of pretty cool things for you as well. And the things that we're talking about now do all have some kind of promo and bundling pricing. But what Local Expert does is it allows you to put yourself, your team, or whatever you really want onto Realtor.com. You can do it either under a specific zip code or a city. So right amongst the listings on the fourth and the 10th spot, there is an advertisement. And what happens, again, you can change it as frequently as you like, but you put kind of a call to action or whatever else you want to be there. What it does, besides show up for a large amount of people, is it will also take your realtor.com profile and pull it to the top of the agent's search results. So if we say, okay, just for an example, you have, a zip code out by you, it's sold in percentages. So the pricing would work like, hey, 20% of visibility is $45. You do always have to have a minimum of 20%. If 20% is $45 and you want to go up from there, it just goes up in that pricing increment. So if you have 100% of the market, that means every time someone is searching for an agent in that market, as an additional bell and whistle to the ad actually being seen all the time, when they go to the search an agent tab on realtor.com, you pop up there 100% of the time as the first agent. It does have an expanded profile there with a dedicated lead form, which is a newer feature. So it gives you a pretty cool way to kind of get to the top of when someone is looking for a professional instead of just looking for a home. So sometimes we do see spam come out of that, and that's just because you have public facing information. So just so everybody's aware.
Yeah.
But we also do see people that get pretty solid leads out of that because we're talking people that are realizing, hey, maybe I should just contact a professional instead of get all excited about an outdoor kitchen. So we always want to be clear, it is not specifically to get those leads. It can happen and it does happen, but it's more for brand recognition than anything else, which really can go a long way on its own. It's pretty affordable. And when you couple it with listing toolkit, there is some promo pricing involved on that. So the pricing on that, because it works on a percentage of eyeballs or views, isn't a sticker price. So there isn't like, hey, it just costs this much. It totally depends on, are we talking a zip code, a city, a couple of zip codes, and what kind of views we're looking at. But it is a very cool product. And generally speaking, it's pretty inexpensive as well. Does anyone have any questions on that one? I can drop some examples in the chat of what it looks like as well.
Yeah, go ahead and drop those in there if you want. I don't see any
Mm-hmm.
questions on that one.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, Steve, when I get a recap email, we'll send that out to everybody.
Okay, I'm not sure if these are showing up the way. Yes. Well, this is not a website. This is actually what shows up right on realtor.com. So when someone is looking for a home, it would actually show up right amongst the listings. So it typically will say one house, two house, three house, and then the fourth and the 10th is actually an advertisement. So you can actually put yourself, the examples, if you click on those in the chat, will show you kind of what some people do in these situations and how they set their ads up. Okay. So the
Oh, so
third
you set up
product,
the ad.
mhm,
Oh, so is it like templated out and then like that's how it
yes,
displays, but you're gonna put in the
yes.
information. Do you put in there any kind of pitch on the ad or is it just like local expert in your picture?
You can put whatever you want. I mean, the examples that I included and that I'll send over, some people just pull them together through Canva or something like that. And then some people just follow the very basic template. No matter what, it's fairly easy to put together. Oh, did those examples,
I
are they
went to
not?
host and panelists. You have to
Oh, shoot.
put it to everyone. Yeah.
All right, let me change that real quick. Okay.
All right. So that went to everyone. Yeah, you should be able to see it now in the chat. There should be two there.
Yep.
All right. Looks like it. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. All right. Okay, so let's see. Okay, perfect. I'm glad you guys can see that. So that's kind of how Local Expert works and what it looks like. It's a pretty simple product. Basically, it functions as an online billboard. So again, you can really put whatever you want there. It's best used in conjunction with something else that actually generates leads. But the overall purpose, of course, is just to kind of reiterate a brand name and a brand presence. Uh-oh, is somebody else still not seeing those?
Yeah. I'm not sure who.
looks like I can just attach that to the email that I send after this, if that's okay with everybody else.
Yeah, a few of them can. So we'll include that in the email that we resend to everybody since this does have some product, that it might be a little easier to kind of look through
It
on the
is
recap.
generally.
So rather than explaining it so much.
Yep, that's totally
Right.
fine. And then the
That's
last
fine.
thing, one of the last things to cover real briefly is we do have a newer product called Spotlight Listings. And this has been a really cool new thing. Basically, what it does is it allows you to take a listing. You get a token that's issued every month. They are good for 12 months from the issue date. And every time you have a listing that you need to have promoted, you can apply the token and it will take your listing from wherever it is on the pages. So if it's been sitting for a minute, could be on page 5 or 6, and it will take it and move it back to the top of the search results where it will stay for 30 days. It's been a really popular product with people who have a hefty amount of listings and people who are now on page 5, 6, whatever the case may be. It's handy for if your sellers are getting impatient and or if they've seen that they're now on page 5 or 6. It also sends out targeted emails to consumers that we see as repeat viewers in the area, and it does highlight it on a map. So that is generally $250 a month. They do give you some pretty great promo pricing on that if you package it with any of those two other things as well. Usually we're looking at anywhere from 20 to 40% off, depending on what happens. And so that product is new and it is in a very limited quantity due to the fact if they do it with everybody, then there's no highlighting anything because the whole front page would just be all
Yeah.
spotlight listings. But it is a cool product. So that's always a good little add-on if, again, you are doing a lot of listings and something just at least worth mentioning because of that. Now, the very last thing to just briefly touch on is something that you guys are probably most familiar with us or ever heard of us even doing is the Connections Plus leads. Those are kind of what most people think of as the standard lead generation. So usually they're people who have looked on realtor.com for about 8 weeks. They fill out a form and they submit it to us. After that, we text it and email it to you, and you guys take it from there. There's a bunch of cool tools that are included in the realtor.com dashboard to help you stay engaged with those folks. So there's market insight reports that go out, listing alerts you can set up, there's auto responses in the dashboard, all of that kind of stuff. Those leads are volume based, so they are sold in a unit. Every unit and every zip code is always packaged the same. So we're usually looking at 36 to 40 annual leads per unit. They can be sold as an either shared or an unshared lead, meaning the lead can either be a little cheaper and go to yourself and one other agent at the same time, or they can be an unshared lead, in which case they go just to you and that's it. Cost on that does depend on how many units, whether or not they are shared or unshared units, and what zip codes they're in. So everyone here probably is loosely familiar with most of what I've just said if they've been an agent for a while, because you've probably received a cold call from us about this. So that's kind of the standard one. So I would bet that some of you have either had this, had it now, or have it now, or have at least received a phone call about it. But I'd be happy to walk anybody through that and look at the pricing in their area too, if so. That's kind of been a lot of agents' bread and butter for a long time. So if you haven't received a quote or checked out what's in your area recently, I would definitely recommend it. Going into this time of the year is a very good time to get on board because we generally have some of the best availability and the best pricing of the year. A lot of people slow down on the fourth quarter, so our recommendation is usually this is the time to hit the gas.
Yeah.
Of the agents I work with, probably good 25% hit Halloween and they just kind of coast until January 22nd. So, or January 2nd. So, now can be a pretty good time to start some of this stuff because so many people kind of just hang tight till the first of the year. So that is pretty much the summary of all of the things that we have going on outside of our Market VIP platform, which of course is geared for teams, brokerages, things like that. Travis knows about that one. So if you have any questions there, you can feel free to talk to him about that. Do we have any questions about any of those things?
So is there something new coming in with Connections Plus, or is that just kind of what you guys
Connections
are doing?
Plus Connections Plus is kind of the standard thing that we've had for, I mean, 20 years.
Hmm.
They aren't doing any changes to it because it's just been a solid bread and butter product for so many people. The only thing, pardon me, that is changing it all is there's some ebb and flow due to market VIP taking up some of the volume. So some of the markets have less available than they had in the past. But other than that, it's business as usual over there for that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, and if you missed it, that's either a shared lead or a non-shared lead that you can get, and the
Correct.
pricing varies on that. So, and those are always emailed, right?
They are emailed and texted. Mhm.
And texted, yeah. Okay.
Yep. They also will give you an alert providing you have the app. So it is fairly impossible to miss the fact that you've received a lead, unless you're in a closing showing that kind of thing. But that's why there's an auto response feature. So typically, most people do pretty well with those. But just like anything else, it really does respond on how, or it does make a difference on how you respond and your level of interaction with the leads. Occasionally, I have people who are under the misconception that you call once and leave a voicemail, and that should be all there is to it. And that is usually not the case. They are definitely easier than, a cold call list or a FISBO list or anything like that. They are people that are genuinely interested in a home, but you do have to usually call them more than once if they don't pick up on the first time. So we always like to make sure we're going in with realistic expectations. And
Yeah.
so providing you have good follow-up skills, they can be a pretty cost-effective way to also boost up your transactions as well. And that one does have no split on the end.
Yeah. So when I did something similar to that years ago, about 15-ish leads, I would get a month, and I closed about every 45 days typically. There was usually at least one and maybe two hot ones a month is what I found. And I really wasn't good with follow-up back then, so I only worked the hot ones. There was probably another one or two that were like kind of lukewarm that, if I would have followed up over a long period of time, I didn't run a CRM back then. I probably would have done a little better, but I was happy with the one out of every 45 days. Totally paid for it plus more.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's pretty par for the course, depending on the lead volume and all that kind of thing. But that's usually about what we would see from that type of quantity. And then, of course, you're completely correct. Somebody who really dials it down on the follow-up usually has a higher conversion rate. And there are some that do fall through the cracks, which we can later see on reports after the fact. So that's always kind of cool is that you can go back and then kind of have your work double checked because we do have the ability to run a report where we can see if any of your leads did close without you. It's not 100% accurate, but it is kind of nice to be able to see if there's any cracks in your follow up that show up as a consistent, fumble. So that's just a little side thing there. So yeah, I mean, we can go over any and all of that. I did drop my contact information in this chat. I believe I said it to everyone correctly. Are you guys all able to see
it,
that?
it looks like it says to everyone.
Woo!
So,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. All right. So now, just as a last kind of statement, all of the products that we talked about, with the exclusion of Connections Plus, um, are able to be packaged usually for a better deal. Connections Plus, some of the time can, some of the time cannot. Connections Plus is the only one that we allow lender co-marketing with because the rest are outside of their wheelhouse. But if you ever do have a lender that you want to loop into some lead gen, Connections Plus is the one for that because they can also cover up to 50% of your cost and receive a copy of the leads as well, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool for them.
And I
So,
do think we have a couple on, within our brokerage that are interested in partnering up too. So, on something like that. So,
okay, cool.
yeah.
Okay, well, it seems like we're good with questions. Nobody has any other ones. I don't believe that I've seen or not
Yeah, I
seen.
think
Let's see.
so. Yeah. So it's a good overview.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're thinking about getting some lead gen in place, this question comes up a lot. Um, you know, searching around, doing some research. Realtor.com does have a a higher conversion rate than some of the others that you might find out there just because of brand recognition. Um,
Absolutely.
will you convert every lead? Absolutely not. That's an unrealistic expectation with anything you ever
Yes.
buy having to do with lead gen. So, but if you're getting a closing or so, every month or two, I say it's totally worth it because you got to spend money somewhere on advertising if you don't have anything going on. So, it's a good alternative. Um, Personally, I would probably look at the UpNest product, the listing toolkit for that fixed price. If you're looking to, get some listings going this year, um, that's a pretty good one. And I only speak because I have been on UpNest and I have closed deals with UpNest. So
Yeah, and another thing that we can always do is sometimes I'll have agents that I work with where they want to do UpNest and then just a smaller portion of Connections Plus. That can be a pretty solid way to go as well because we can then work on both sides of the fence. Sometimes you can get those people together, which can lead to some beautiful two-sided transactions. And also then we've got people in various pipelines, not all irons in one fire, which is nice as well. There usually is some kind of promo for that situation as well. The best promos exist, however, currently with Spotlight Listings, Local Expert, and Listing Toolkit. At the
yeah,
moment, the deals are pretty spectacular on that. So it sounds like you guys have pretty much everything that you need, but I'll go ahead, Travis, and send you over some visual examples, kind of the bullet point rundown of all of this if you want to forward that on. And
yep,
then that will also have my contact information. You guys can call, text, email, or just book an appointment directly on my calendar. And we can take a look at some more specific pricing and options for who's ever interested.
yeah, sounds good. Appreciate you coming on, and
Absolutely.
I think this is good to just kind of get it out there because not
Yeah,
everybody
for
always
sure.
thinks about just calling. So at least we can, you know, kind of go over it in a conversation. So
Yes, absolutely. Well, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to again contact me any of those various ways. And then Travis, I will follow up with you probably in relatively soon, maybe at the end of this week, even about some of the other stuff that we've got going on, and we can kind of go from there. Is that okay with you?
yeah, that sounds good. Probably
Okay. Well, thank you
Friday.
guys so much.
Yeah,
Friday. Okay.
yeah,
I'll make a note and get you on my calendar. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, and I look forward to hearing from y'all.
All right. Thanks a
All
lot
right.
for coming
Thank
on.
you.
All
You're welcome.
right.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that's a short meeting today. I wasn't sure how long she was going to run, but I thought it'd be good time of year. Everybody's thinking about lead gen and things like that. So, if you had thought about Realtor.com or Zillow or any of these others out there, um, you know, I figured we'd put this meeting together just to get some exposure on some options out there because it's not just Realtor.com used to be just those connections ones, and now they've got these other products now, which can maybe fit into your business. So I don't really have anything else, but if you guys want to cover anything, throw it in the chat. Other than that, it looks like last week the rate started to ease just a little bit towards the end of the week. Beginning of the week was not so great. So seems like we're just kind of bouncing around. Nothing spectacular or crazy going on with rates, but I think as the months go on, we're going to continue seeing those kind of trickle down. If your clients are asking when the 2% rates are going to be around, it's not going to happen this year. So I think we all know that though. So other than that, hope everybody has a great week. If you guys have questions on anything, always give me a call and we will we'll post this replay in the Facebook group and then we'll also send out um, via email the recap that Kathy's going to send over, so you can just kind of look at it. And contact information will be on that if you want to, have a chat with her and get some pricing on some of this stuff that is either volume based or per zip code and things like that. So other than that, hope you have a great week, and we will see you later.